Grand Rising and welcome to another segment of CLG View Point. I'm Cindy Lorraine Grais, and it's an honor and a pleasure to have you here with me today. Today is Perspective, which is segment number 81. Today is Wednesday, June 11th, 2025, and in the Kingdom of Canada, under natural law, is Divina Anima Day 16 years 0035. And as you know, some of you, I like to clear my energies here in this show with positive energies, clearing all the negative energies that are here. To do that, I like to use a sage stick. I light this up. To all low energy entities, you are sent back to your perfect place and escorted by my spiritual guides inside. Divine light and divine gratitude. Today we'll be covering What is Meditation by J. Krishnamurti, courtesy of the Immeasurable. Under local news, Minister flags concern over BC Ferries deal with Chinese state-owned shipyard. Record $48 million cocaine bust dismantles. Transnational crime network peeled police. Wildfire burning out of control west of Nanaimo, BC on Vancouver Island. Saanich councillor fails to halt AAP for $150 million Operation Center borrowing plan. Nova Scotia woman wrongly diagnosed with terminal cancer. Absolutely devastating. Now on to the vision. To the video. What is meditation?
Perhaps the greatest art, because in the understanding of meditation there is love, and love is not the product of systems, of habits, of following a method. Love can perhaps come into being when there is complete silence, and mind can only be silent when it understands the nature of its own movement as thought and feeling. To understand that thought and feeling, there must be no condemnation in observing that thought and feeling. So meditation can take place when you're sitting in a bus or walking the woods full of light and shadows, or listening to the singing of birds, or looking at the face of your wife or husband. Meditation isn't something apart. It's the understanding of the totality of life, in which every form of fragmentation of life has ceased. And also that is to contemplate life, not from your particular idiosyncrasy, tendency, or inclination, but to contemplate the whole movement of life. And you cannot contemplate or meditate if there is no silence. When one has totally denied the psychological world which man has created for himself, and the psychological structure of society of which we are, the greed, the envy, the violence, the jealousies, the hatreds, then when you totally deny, you have space and silence. And it is only such a mind that can see what is the immeasurable. Such a mind is a light to itself.
Beautiful. I enjoy meditation every day, and just to be in that silence and ground myself out in nature. It's just absolutely life-changing, actually. So now on to Minister flags concern over BC Ferries with Chinese state-owned shipyard. That is by the Canadian Press, updated June 10, 2025. British Columbia's Transportation Minister has raised concerns with BC Ferries about its decision to have a Chinese shipyard build 4 new ferries. That's 4 new ferries for its passenger fleet, amid an ongoing trade conflict between Canada and China. The winning bidder on the contract announced Tuesday is Chinese state-owned China Merchants Industry Weihai Shipyards. Mike Farnwood said in a statement he was worried about procuring services from any country that is actively harming Canada's economy with tariffs and protectionism. BC Ferries is an independent company responsible for its own operational decisions. While BC Ferries has made its decision to purchase new vessels offshore, I am disappointed more involvement from Canadian shipyards was not part of the contract, he said. Farnsworth's office declined a request for an interview. Now on to the video.
Chinese company to build 4 new major vessels to replace an aging fleet. The publicly owned company says China Merchants Industry Weihai Shipyards has won the contract. BC Ferries isn't saying how much the shipyard will be paid to protect future bids. The team says 20 shipyards around the world pre-qualified for the procurement process. There were also site reviews, reference checks, and contracts with third-party assessors before deciding on Weihai.
This shipyard has given us the best combination of good experience, technical capability, size and scale, safety management, affordability, and confidence that they can deliver the ships that we need on the schedule that we require.
BC Ferries says no Canadian shipbuilder put in a bid for review. The new vessels will come into service between 2029 and 2031. And for the first time, the new ships will feature an indoor play space for pets.
My personal thought. It is really hard to believe that there was not one Canadian shipyard company that didn't come forward with a proposal, coast to coast, not one. In the Kingdom of Canada, under natural law, all contractors are to be Canadian. For further information can be found at thekingdomofcanada.ca, thekingdomofcanada.ca. Record $48 million cocaine bus dismantles transnational crime network Peel Police. Global News written by Prisha Dev, June 10, 2025. Peel Regional Police say they have dismantled a major transnational criminal network responsible for smuggling vast quantities of cocaine into the Greater Toronto area, following the largest drug seizure in the service's history. The year-long investigation, dubbed Project Pelican, resulted in the seizure of 479 kilograms of cocaine, with an estimated street value of $47.9 million. In a news release early Tuesday, police say they partnered with the Canadian Border Services Agency, CBSA, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, and U.S. Homeland Security investigations to track cocaine shipments moving through commercial trucking routes between the U.S. and Canada. Thanks to the leadership of Peel Regional Police and the support of national and international law enforcement agencies. Along with the Government of Ontario, a transnational criminal network is no longer operating or flooding our communities with illicit drugs from the United States and Chief Nishan Duraipa. This seizure marks the largest drug seizure in the history of our service, Duraipa added. Between February and May 2024 or 25, intelligence with Peel officers led to 2 major busts at Ontario border crossings. At the Ambassador Bridge in Windsor, 127 kilograms of cocaine were found hidden in a commercial trailer, and another 50 kilograms were seized in a similar concealment at Blue Water Bridge in Point Edward. Both drivers were arrested on the spot with help from RCMP officers. Additional searches in the GTA led to further cocaine seizures and the discovery of 2 loaded illegal semi-automatic handguns, according to the release. 9 men from across southern Ontario have been arrested and face a combined total of 35 charges related to drug trafficking and firearms offenses. All of the accused appeared for bail hearings at the Ontario Court of Justice in Brampton. These significant seizures and arrests demonstrate the strength of our collaboration with law enforcement partners on both sides of the border, said Michael Prozia, Regional Director of CBSA, Southern Ontario. Together, we are committed to dismantling organized crime groups and keeping harmful drugs out of our communities, he said. Peel Police were asked anyone with information about the case to contact authorities or submit an anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers. And on to the video.
Toronto Police, members of the Toronto Police Drug Squad, and the Solicitor General of Ontario, the Honourable Michael Krishnamurti. Thank you all for joining us here today. In front of me is the culmination of incredible police work and teamwork that resulted in the largest seizure of cocaine in the history of the Toronto Police Service. 835 kilograms of cocaine that is alleged to have the hallmarks of coming from the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. What you see before you has an estimated street value of $83 million. This is the result of Project Castile, an extensive joint forces investigation into drug importation and trafficking in the Greater Toronto Area. The investigation was led by the Toronto Police Service Drug Squad Major Projects with the assistance from other partners, including the York Regional Police Service, the Canada Border Services Agency, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Windsor Border Integrity Unit, and the Criminal Intelligence Service, Ontario. The collaboration with CBSA and the RCMP is important here because we know that these drugs traveled all the way from Mexico over the United States southern border and then made their way here to Canada, where we stopped and seized them. This investigation required months of effort. I can tell you that getting 835 kilograms of cocaine off of our streets will make a huge difference for the well-being of our communities. And not only our communities here in Toronto, but across the country, as we know that some of these drugs were destined to other regions, from coast to coast to coast. When we get illicit drugs off our streets, we literally save lives. We protect people, we prevent violence, and we break up criminal networks. This will always be a priority for us.
Good to hear from that's my personal thoughts. Good to hear that they're being very proactive in dismantling the organized crime. It's good to hear. Under natural law in the Kingdom of Canada, more info on the decrees can be found in regards to this whole organized crime and the safety of our communities at thekingdomofcanada.ca. Yes, thekingdomofcanada.ca. Wildfire burning out of control west of Nanaimo, BC. CTV News, written by Todd Coyne, published June 10, 2025. 2 helicopters and 1 air tanker are battling an out-of-control wildfire discovered Tuesday west of Nanaimo, BC. The BC Wildfire Service says the Labor Day Lake fire south of the Englishman River is believed to be caused by human activity. The fire area measured approximately 8 hectares at 3 p.m., according to an update from wildfire officials. In addition to the aerial firefighting assets, 2 ground crews are also attacking the flames on Tuesday afternoon. The fire is currently the only wildfire on Vancouver Island still classified as out of control, after a fire discovered Sunday near Port Alberni was brought under control, according to the Wildfire Service. That fire, which consumed an estimated 23.5 hectares of forest near Nanaimo Mountain, was also likely human-caused, officials said. There were 89 wildfires actively burning in BC on Tuesday afternoon, including 47 fires classified as out of control. Among those are an out-of-control blaze near Squamish that prompted the municipality to declare a state of local emergency due to an imminent threat to people and property. The largest wildfire currently burning in BC is the Pocket Knife Creek blaze in the northeastern region, which is a wildfire service estimated at nearly 1,300 square kilometers. Wildfire officials say more than 3/4 of the active fires in BC, including the Pocket Knife Creek blaze, were sparked by lightning, while less than 1/4 were likely caused by human activity. Lightning. That's interesting. My personal thoughts. This is another fire added to a long list of fires across Canada, and started by human activity. A lot of them. So why so many fires in Canada? Who are starting these fires? And are they being paid to cause dissension and chaos for the people in the Kingdom of Canada? And if so, why? More information on natural law can be found again at thekingdomofcanada.ca. Yes, thekingdomofcanada.ca. Saanich councillor fails to halt AAP for a $150 million operations center borrowing plan. Councillor Natalie Chambers wanted to scrap the current process, which closes June 25th, in hopes of launching a new one that gives residents until early August to weigh in. Time column is written by Andrew A. Duffy, June 11, 2025. A Saanich councillor tried and failed this week to stop an alternative approval process that would allow the district to borrow up to $150 million to redevelop its operations center at Mackenzie Avenue and Borden Street. Councillor Natalie Chambers wanted to scrap the current process, which began May 21st and closes June 25th, in hopes of launching a new one that gives residents until early August to weigh in. Under the alternative approval process, if more than 10% of eligible electors, that would be 8,735 residents, submit an elector response form opposing the initiative, the loan authorization bylaw cannot be adopted. At that point, the district would have 2 options: put the project on hold or seek permission for the borrowing via referendum. In bringing forward her motion, Chambers said many residents had said they're having difficulty with the process. She said the sheer amount of money involved demands robust public input, and extending the process into August would bring increased participation, affirming silence is not consent and that council is listening to their constituents. No councillor was willing to second the motion, however, which meant it was not debated. The $172 million, that's $172 million operations center project has been identified as a district priority. As the aging site of Mackenzie and Borden has been deemed not fit to handle future growth. About 300 staff based at the Operations Center look after transportation, parks, water, sewer, and solid waste in Saanich. The district says the buildings on the site are 40 to 70 years old, don't meet building code requirements, and have been determined to be past their useful life. Mayor Dean Murdoch said he's heard from some residents that they don't like the process, and some are opposed to the boring. But there has not been a massive amount of pushback on the initiative. We stated the case for why the boring is necessary, and it seems like generally people seem to be supportive of approving a boring in order to move forward with the project, he said. I don't think it's anybody's favorite project, but certainly I think the rationale for why we can no longer delay seems to be something that most people are responding to. Murdoch says he believes the AAP process gives people the opportunity to express their opposition. Council has already directed district staff to start work to identify a private sector partner who will develop a master plan for the site at Mackenzie and Borden in collaboration with Saanich. The district would expect a single payment of about $30 million from a developer for the development lands while retaining ownership of the entire site in perpetuity. Part of the redevelopment would see Saanich move its parks maintenance group to a 3-acre industrial property it bought from Don Mann Excavating in the 4,000 block of Lockside Drive. A date for the move has not been set. Saanich staff estimates the total annual debt service cost for the $150 million loan would be $9.5 million. If it's approved, residents would see a 0.85% tax increase, another tax increase on average per year for 4 years. In addition, the average homeowner would see a $3.60 per year increase over 4 years to their water utility bills, a $4 per year increase over 4 years to their sewer utility bills, and a $1.70 per year increase over years to their solid waste services utility bills. My personal thought, why are they spending so much money on a building when they have homeless on the streets? Victoria and Saanich? What do you think? And why are they rushing this? And they've already got a contractor to look at it. Why are they pushing for this? Something to think about. Nova Scotia woman wrongly diagnosed with terminal cancer, absolutely devastating. Global News, written by Rebecca Lay and Mitchell Bailey, June 10th, 2025. A week ago, 31-year-old Gabriella Petty was told she had advanced stage breast cancer and was expected to have only months to live. Armed with the grim diagnosis that had also claimed her mother's life, Petty began telling family and friends and making end-of-life preparations. I put a claim in through my bank for critical illness insurance and just put my name on the list for medically assisted dying. Maeve, the Halifax area woman said. I just came to terms with it. This is what it was. Absolutely devastating. But days later, Patty's family physician called with shocking news. I got another call from my primary care physician stating, actually, there had been a critical patient error at the IWK Health Center, and the file with the grim diagnosis did not even belong to me, she said. I didn't even really believe her. I mean, why should I? They had made this mistake once. How could they make it again? Initially told tumor was benign, Patty first discovered a lump in her breast in October 2023, just a few weeks after her mother died of breast cancer. She went to the breast health clinic at the IWK Health Center in Halifax, and over the course of a year, and had multiple ultrasounds. Throughout that entire process, I said, is doing a mastectomy an option because of my history? She said. They started quoting, unquote, we're not there yet. She had a biopsy on the tissue from her left breast at the end of April this year. And on May 17, Patty said she received a call with great news and was told the tumor was benign and had no traces of breast cancer. My husband and I obviously celebrated. We told all my friends and family. It's just such a big relief. 2.5 weeks later, on June 4th, her family doctor called to tell her there had been a mistake and she did indeed have cancer. The devastating news came just 5 days after she finished a successful thyroid cancer treatment. And more to follow on the video courtesy of Global News.
This is my life.
Gabriella Patey says she's still in shock.
I'm 31 years old and you're calling and telling me I have a critical illness with a very short lifespan. And then you're calling me back a few days later telling me, actually, you don't.
Patey discovered a lump in her breast a few weeks after her mother died from breast cancer 2 years ago. She had a biopsy in April and was told she had no traces of breast cancer on May 17th.
My husband and I obviously celebrated. We told all my friends and family. It was just such a big relief.
But 2 weeks later, things took a devastating, unexpected turn. Her family doctor told her the IWK made a mistake, and she was diagnosed with advanced stage breast cancer, giving her about 10 months left to live.
So I told my friends, my family, my co-workers. My mother-in-law drove 4.5 hours in the middle of the night. I put a claim in through my bank for critical illness insurance, and just put my name on the list for medically assisted dying. I just came to terms with it. This is what it was, which is absolutely devastating.
She says the news arrived just 5 days after she finished a successful thyroid cancer treatment. As days passed and she started planning one last vacation with her husband, the phone rang again.
I got another call from my primary care physician stating, actually, there had been a critical patient error at the IWK, and the file with the grim diagnosis did not even belong to me.
Patey says if it wasn't for her family doctor digging deeper, she wouldn't have found out about the hospital's error. Sitting at her kitchen table Monday afternoon, she was still waiting for answers.
Called them 17 times. I've left multiple messages. I've filed a complaint with the Nova Scotia Health Authority. I filed a complaint through the patient advocate services through the IWK, and I have received absolutely no response.
In a statement to Global News, the IWK Health Center says they're unable to comment on specific cases, but said, quote, concerns of this nature are taken seriously and a formal investigation process is followed. She says her false positive test is for another person, and until Tuesday, wasn't notified if that person even knew.
If this happened to me, who else does it happen to, and who else will it happen to? There has to be something in place so this doesn't happen again to anybody.
Patey says she finally received confirmation of the error directly from the IWK on Tuesday, after waiting several days. Still, the ordeal continues to haunt her, and has her questioning whether she can ever trust healthcare in this province again.
Something has to change. I wish I had the answer as to what, but what is happening is not working.
Mitchell Bailey, Global News, Mount Uniacke, Nova Scotia.
My personal thoughts, she's absolutely right. This is absolutely atrocious. I can hardly comprehend what Gabriella Patey felt when she received the news that she had terminal cancer. And then taking the time to prepare her family and then to work with MAID. to then find out that it was all a mistake? How many others have gone through this kind of process and then went through with MAID and was not terminally ill? The whole system, healthcare system, has failed and needs to have a thorough forensic investigation under natural law. How many lives have to die because of this failed healthcare system? Bring on the med beds immediately. Yes, immediately. As all people in our country and world are in need of them. And so it is. I am Cindy Lorraine Grais with CLG View Point. I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for you being here with me today. I just thank you so much. If you feel free to pass this on to others. I put together a short little video, walking and keep walking forward. Enjoy. Have a truly wonderful day and see you on Thursday, June the 12th, 2025. Divina Anima, day 17, year 0035 in the Kingdom of Canada.